No one likes a Grinch. And so today, I'm going to talk about 3 mindsets to avoid so that we do not become collecting Grinches. First of all, instead of looking around and being happy with the things that he had and the way that he was living his life, the Grinch instead looked at another group of people, the Who's, who were living their lives in a different way. And he just did not like that. They enjoyed this holiday called Christmas, and he didn't like Christmas. And so he became angry at them. And as collectors, we can have that same mindset. Whereas instead of simply just being happy at the collection that we have and the way that we've gone about collecting, we instead look at others who collect differently and we get angry at them. And this is seen probably most clearly when it comes to the issues of slabs. I mean, watch any video by any YouTube creator on slabs and take a look at the comment section, and you'll see people who are angry that people have chosen to collect in a way that's different than them. And it's wild. It's crazy. Another way that we can fall into this trap, and this is the way that I most personally struggle, is that we can see collectors who we feel are wasting money on certain comic books and get angry at it. I mean, I've seen people buy a book for $15 based on FOMO, and I'm like, you idiot! If you just wait 6 months, then it'll be $1. What are you doing? Or they buy some variant cover that's, in 6 months again, this thing is going to be 25% of the price. What's going on? And why do I care so much? Why do I get emotional? Instead, I should just be happy for them and that they're getting joy in the way that they're collecting and to mind my own business. And certainly I can have opinions of what books are better financial investments than others, and I can lovingly share that with people at sometimes, maybe give some advice if they ask me. But if somebody is showing off some haul on YouTube and I'm like, oh, you paid that for that, you idiot. What's wrong with me? I'm just a comic Grinch. Now, a second mistake that I believe the Grinch made is that he withdrew from human society and isolated himself on top of a mountain. And I believe whenever we isolate ourselves, it becomes so much easier for bitterness and other negative emotions to build up in our hearts, as well as to become judgmental towards others because we don't really feel any connection with them. But if we instead build relationships with each other, then we become much more graceful people, much more forgiving people, no matter how different they might be for us. And one of the ways I see this the most is when it comes to the realm of politics. I certainly have political opinions that are near and dear and important to me. And when I'm not in close contact with people who have different political opinions than me, then it becomes really easy to be angry at them and bitter at them and judgmental and be like, how could they believe that? But when I actually start interacting with people who have those opinions, I realize, they're humans like I am. And for the most part, there's of course a few bad faith actors, but 99% of the people, their opinions are based on them trying to be the best person that they can be and trying to do what is best for society. Now, they may be wrong, or maybe I'm the one that's wrong. I mean, one of us have to be wrong because we have sometimes two very different ideas. We can't both be right. But when we interact with people, we realize, they're not just some idiots. They're not people who just hate others or whatever it is. They just have a different mindset. And we can certainly have friendly dialogue and talk about, hey, this is why I think this way. This is what I think is best and all that kind of stuff. But I don't have this, again, dehumanizing, judgmental, bitter attitude. And in addition, just connecting with people fills us with some kind of joy. I mean, we are built to connect with others. I really believe that. And in the collecting realm, if we're just sitting watching YouTube and this is all that we're doing, it becomes easy just to be this keyboard warrior and to think, oh, the Wahoo, what an idiot, or to think whatever other content creator, what an idiot, or to see other people and how they collect and be like, what idiots. But when we actually come into contact with people, then we obviously become much less grinchy, much more friendly. And personally, I believe, and everybody here might not agree with this, and that's okay. I believe it's very important that we have not just these virtual relationships, but we have really a lot of in-person relationships as well. I think it's important for all of us to shut down YouTube, even though YouTube is trying to keep us on, and I want you to finish watching this video. We need to turn off YouTube sometimes, meet real people in the real world, because, and this is the whole philosophy of space that we're especially asking for the first time in these last 20 years that the internet has come on, because of course for most of human history, if you wanted to see someone, you had to be in their physical presence. We're in this reality that we don't now. You can kind of see me here on this video, and I can see others on this video, and so we have to ask the question, is that the same as seeing someone in the same room? Personally, I think there's a difference. I think we need to share actual space with something. I think there's something different about it. What do you think about that? You might disagree. You might think virtual relationships are all we need. And certainly, I think virtual relationships are better than no relationships. But I really encourage us all to have real life relationships as well. But regardless, in whatever way, we need to make sure we don't isolate ourselves, or we're going to become Grinches. Now, the third mistake that the Grinch makes is that he believes that happiness is found in the things. And so he believes that if he can just take the presents and the Christmas tree and the roast beast away from the Who's, then he can take away their happiness. And so he's shocked the next day when he wakes up because he's expecting to hear crying and wailing. But instead, he hears celebration and joy and singing. And this is because the Who's knew that happiness was not to be found in the things. And certainly they enjoyed the things. There's a reason they put up the tree and the lights, but they understood that true, fulfilling, lasting happiness was found in the relationships with each other and the journey that they were on in life together. And in the same way as collectors, we can be tempted to think that happiness is found in the things, in the comics themselves. And certainly, there's a bit of joy that they can bring to us. I mean, obviously, every book that we get, we're like, oh, well, this is wonderful. I'm glad that I have this in my collection. But if we're really finding our true happiness in them, then we're never going to be happy. We're going to be caught up in FOMO and all kinds of things. And comics will become like a drug to us where, oh, I've got to have this one. And we get it, and it's like a hit. And we're happy for like a day. And then it's all, well, this doesn't bring me any happiness anymore. Now I need to get the next thing. And I have certainly got caught up in that trap and just never being happy and caught in this cycle of buying and spiking up in happiness and then coming down. But instead, over the last couple of years especially, I've learned that happiness in general, but particularly happiness in this hobby, is found much more in the journey and in the relationships that I make with people. And so that means that even though I certainly still want to add books to my collection, and I appreciate the ones that I get, that just the process, and it's the same way with also making YouTube content, I've really started to fall more in love with just the process. And obviously I want the channel to do well, all those types of things. But if I get caught up in external things and let my happiness be defined simply by views or watch time or whatever, then I'm just going to be miserable. I'm always going to be looking for the next thing. And so I am working hard not to find my happiness in these things outside of myself, but simply finding happiness in the journey again, in my relationship with others. Now, how do we deal with the Grinches in our lives, and in particular in this hobby? Well, let's take a lesson from the Who's and choose to be merry no matter what. If people think we're idiots, if we don't get the comics that we're hoping to get, no matter what, choose to be merry. And I really do believe that joy, merriness, and this is simplistic. There's obviously nuance. We can make generalizations. There's nuances to things, but in general, I really believe that we can choose to be happy, that we can choose, and we got to fight it. It's an act of choice. It's not something that's always easy. I'm sure it wasn't easy for the Who's to wake up that day and to have everything stolen and to be like, oh, well, let's go sing. I mean, that was hard. Loss, suffering, it's a part of this world, but we can still choose to be grateful, still choose to be happy. That's something I've really been working on really my whole life, but I'm constantly working on, because I can really be tempted to be depressed, to be anxious, and I have to fight. Especially, it's really helped being a father, because if I just sit around moping all the time, it's going to affect my kids. And so when I have a hard day at work, or when something happens in life that's hard, and our family's had a lot of loss over the past couple of years, then I've got to, I can't let that control me. I've got to say, all right, I've got to choose to be happy. And I really believe that our feelings follow our choices versus vice versa. I think in our culture, often we think our choices follow our feelings, but I believe we can take control of our feelings. And obviously, again, that's something not everyone's going to agree on, but I think that is true. So let's be like the Who's, that despite suffering, we choose to be merry, and like the Who's, hand in hand. And that's really where they found their strength, right? Because it wasn't just them suffering, but together they suffered. Obviously, here on YouTube, again, I think there's limited community here, but all of us find people in our lives that we can truly walk together with, hand in hand. And I think that we will be able to overcome any Grinch. And the Grinches in our lives, either they'll lose their power over us, or in the best case scenarios, and sometimes these only happen in stories, but at least in the story, of course, the Grinch is transformed himself by how the Who's choose to live. And I've seen that people change when they see people who are merry no matter what. So let us all choose to be Who's, not Grinches, and Merry Christmas. Subscribe, like, comment. Thank you.